Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today. Your IAMS team. We're going to talk with the coach, Dave Pimper. We're going to go over a little bit of the opportunities around radio right now. He's developed a great radio program. We've had some very good results and luck with, and we wanted to make sure that anyone, especially during these times, is looking to gain new prospects in a socially distant world was aware of Retirement Boss Radio. So we're going to have a great webinar today. As always, before we get started and talk about the subject at hand, we're going to go through just a few things. First, if you have any questions, we want you to go ahead and type them and hit send, and we'll get them answered as quickly as we possibly can. And also, there'll be a couple of polls that will pop up during the course of the event. If you can answer those, we appreciate it. The quicker we answer, the quicker we get moved on. And you're not making any commitments. You're just letting us know yes interest, no interest, and we'll take it from there. So, again, thank you all for joining us. My name is Steve Murray. I'm the president here at Insurance Agency Marketing Services. I want to make sure that you've got everything that you need to be successful. A lot of times that's product, sometimes it's incentive, sometimes it's some of the other programs that we do to reward your business that can help you on a daily basis, and sometimes it's training and making programs like Retirement Boss Radio available. So hopefully you're ready to hear some great information. And like I said at the outset, if you have any questions, type them in, hit send, and we'll get them answered as quickly as possible. But before we get started, let's talk about a few things that we do here at IAMS to help you grow your business and make sure that you're aware of some of the programs that we have. Many of you are already aware. I'm just looking at our attendee list, and most of you are already actually aware of, and some actually taking advantage of these two programs. One is marketing reimbursement. When you do business with IAMS, what happens is money goes into your marketing reimbursement account. As you have money to spend on growing and marketing your business, you send us the receipts and we match your spend dollar for dollar. So a really great program to help you kind of double up on your marketing budget. Also, with the referred producer program, we send out checks. These are some of the biggest checks that we send out. What we do is we reward you for your referral. When they get appointed, we'll send you a check for $50. No big deal there. But the really big checks come when they start doing business. We start sending you a small bonus based on their business. That is money that does not come out of your pocket. You have no responsibility for them in terms of any chargebacks and things like that. You just receive a little bit of a cash bonus when they do business. And so those can add up to some pretty big checks. We normally send those out quarterly. Some of those, if they get larger, we're going to send them out monthly. But most of them go out on a quarterly basis, and literally they're some of the largest checks that we send out. So hopefully you'll take advantage of that program. If you've got a colleague that you think might be interested in something that we offer here, whether it's a training, incentive, product, what have you, hopefully you feel comfortable referring them our way. One of the things that we do for new producers when they join the IAMS team is we have some nice production builders, that we call them, and you can elect at the various levels. And you can see before you on the screen some of the choices there. What I would add on top of that is if you have a program that works, we are certainly willing to participate and do that on a cash equivalent type of basis. So if you have something that's working for you and you want to plug that in to these new production builders, we can certainly give you the ability to do that as well. So we got some great programs. You can get yourself in the radio business, and you can get yourself in the digital workshop business right now. That's working for us as well. If you want to get some other lead systems set up, we can certainly make those available to you for sure. So a lot of things that we do for you. I would just want you to keep in mind that there's also opportunity for you to use a program of your own choosing. Got great back office support here. If you haven't used it, if you haven't taken advantage of it, you should. If you have, you already know that. We've got people that are going to keep you informed. Everything from putting your case design together, all the way to making sure that your commission is paid out on a timely basis once your case is issued. We follow it all the way through. Great advertising team here. They do a great job. We've got 5 or 6 people at the ready. Anything from getting your digital advertising in place to getting your business cards and letterhead done right, newsletters, Facebook, lots of consumer-facing stuff that you can use. We can brand for you. Think of them as your advertising team, and it's an advertising team that specializes in your business, wants to work for you as efficiently and as inexpensively as possible, all the way down to pro bono work where they can do it. So they're designed. They are built around helping you get your advertising right, get your brand right, and doing it as efficiently as possible. It's a great resource for you. If you haven't taken advantage of it, I hope you will. We got a great tools on our website. I want to just mention the most recent thing that we've added, and it looks like we may have taken that slide out, is a single sign-on to Firelight. So you can go on our website now and do e-apps with most of the carriers that you want to do business with on the Annuity platform, and on iPipeline, you can go in there and do most of the life carriers. So you have the ability from our website, one stop, to get to all of the carriers and do all their paperwork. So it's pretty handy for you, because if you're doing an application with 2 carriers on one client, you can copy that, cut and paste that, and copy that across from client to client or from carrier to carrier. That's really very easy. So that's the advantage of doing it on our website as opposed to going to each carrier website one by one by one. It's much easier, keeps that client information in there for you, so you can use it across multiple carriers. But really handy. If you haven't done that, go to your sales director and say, hey, give me the quick registration. It takes like 2 minutes, literally less than that, 2 minutes to register for Firelight, and then you're up and ready to go. Retirement Analyzer, give Marcus here a call. If you're not using some type of a program with your clients to help them find out where they're at on the retirement journey and do it in a nice graphic form, easy to understand graphic form, then Retirement Analyzer is for you. We're going to take care of your expense associated with that. So it's really a handy deal for you as well. And Marcus can help you with the first steps, maybe do one on yourself or do one on a valued client so you can see how it works. And if it's something you want to use going forward, and you're doing business with IAMS, we're going to do that we're going to save you 70, 80 bucks a month on the cost of that by paying for that for you. So take advantage of that if you're not already. If that's something you are doing already using another platform, try the Retirement Analyzer. Every feedback I get on that is that it is going to build great client loyalty. It's going to get you some clients that you wouldn't have had. It also incorporates Social Security and all the other benefits. And you can put in, all their other investments and then track that for them as well. So it makes you very invaluable to your client. IAMS Wealth Management, if you're not already an IAR and you're thinking about taking managed assets under your wing, they can help you with that. If you are already, maybe you're not happy with your current wealth management firm, your current RIA, if that's the case, and you want to maybe look and see what's a little bit different, what they have to offer that's different from what your current RIA has, then this is a great time to do that. It's a quick conversation you can have with the team. If that's something that you're interested in, if you're interested in maybe saving some money on fees or maybe getting paid out a little bit higher, one of the things that I hear over and over again, so our payout is just a skosh over 1%, but it doesn't flow through a grid. So if you're getting 1%, then it flows through a 60, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90% grid. You don't have a grid here. You're going to get that full payout, and the fees are very reasonable. The benefits the value that you get for your fees, I've heard again and again, in the services next to none. So if that's something that you have some interest in, just hit yes on that poll. If you're okay with where you're currently at, or maybe that's not of interest to you at all, maybe you strictly want to stay on the insurance side, that's fine as well. So it looks like just about everybody has voted. Thank you, by the way. That's some quick voting. I appreciate that. And yes and no, doesn't matter really. I mean, if you have some interest, that's great. If you don't, that's okay too. Either way is fine, obviously, with us. So appreciate you getting that in. And I'm going to go ahead and close that poll out. Looks like one of you was not able to vote for whatever reason. If that's something that you want to chat with me about, just give me a call here at the office, 800-255-5055. Ask for Steve. If I'm unavailable, we can put you in touch with Charles. Anybody on the wealth management side, they can help you with that as well. So with that, I'm going to close that poll out. Thank you all for your quick voting, by the way. Let's keep moving on here. So we do a great job with academies. Obviously, as you can imagine, that's a travel-based program, and so we haven't been able to do those since February. We're going to still try and potentially get one or two squeezed in here if things loosen up a little bit more on the travel side. If you have interest in joining us for one of our academies, you can see on the screen before you what we go over, what we talk about. We have, the centerpiece, in my opinion, is the producers that we have join there and kind of tell you what they do, how they do it, and give you some tips and pointers on what's been working for them. But it's also good to hear from the carrier. We'll have a carrier sponsorship, and they'll be there as well. We'll have the team at IAMS. We'll have our advertising team. We'll have our social media team, and we'll give you some great tips and tricks to grow your business. And obviously, you're going to be in a room with 30, 40 other top producers just like yourself. You great opportunity to share ideas. If that's something that's of interest to you, give your sales director a call and say, hey, I want to be considered for coming into one of those meetings here as we end up 2020 or as we get into 2021. I wanted to make sure that you were aware of our top producers escape. So this year we're going to go March 7th through 11th. It's a Secrets property located in Puerto Vallarta. As you know, Secrets is kind of a high-end, all-inclusive and it takes 3.5 million to qualify. Qualification is ongoing for that all the way through the end of the year, so still plenty of time to qualify. I know, just looking at our list of attendees here, I know we've got a number of you that have already are well on your way to qualifying, so that's great. For those of you that are already on your way to qualifying, already qualified for this trip, maybe you'll want to consider joining us for a tag trip. On the end of that, we're going to go to the Punta Mita Four Seasons, March 11th through the 14th, a really exclusive resort right on the shores of Punta Mita, very, very upscale, high-end resort on a very exclusive beach. So we'd love to have you and your guest. And by the way, both of those qualifications are for you and your guest, and we're looking forward to having you out there. If that's something that you have interest in and you have questions, certainly, as always, give your sales director a call. All right, let's get on to the main event. Hopefully Dave has joined us here this morning. Are you with us, Dave? If you've got yourself muted, Dave, that'd be a great time to unmute. I did zip through that pretty quick, and Dave does tend to join us after that first part is over. So while he's joining us, let's talk just a little bit about Social Security claiming and what the opportunities are there. So we've been working with a firm now for about the past 2 years that has helped us grow that that seminar part of our business. And I'm looking at our list of attendees, and I see a couple of you have taken advantage of that. You know, that's a great program. Obviously, since February or so, the seminar attendance has been a little bit less than what we've seen in the past. And so we've moved that to a digital format. We're experimenting and trying some different things there, and we've had some good success there. So if there are some folks out there joining us that are getting ready to learn a little bit more about radio, and you might be looking for some other ways to get in front of clients or potential prospects around Social Security claiming, this is certainly a great way to do that. Again, ask your sales director about our digital workshops. We're actually seeing some folks moving back to, as the summer wears on here, I think we're going to do our first face-to-face one. Our first group meeting is going to be sometime in mid-July. So we'll have to see how that goes. I know that there's still going to be some reticence on the part of a lot of people to come to group meetings at that point, but I do believe there are going to be some folks that are going to be just fine with it by then. And then we have another one scheduled for August. Our experience in general has been that there really isn't a comparison right now between a digital workshop and that full digital follow-up in terms of conversion. There's really no comparison between the digital and the face-to-face. Now, obviously, we haven't been doing any face-to-face ones since last February, so we're going to get back into the game and try to experiment with those here ongoing over the next couple of months. And as that develops further, we'll let you know. But obviously, whether we're doing it digitally or whether we're doing it face-to-face, we still have a good platform to get you in front of some prospects and to help you not just with getting the prospects there, but getting you with the, how do I do it effectively, whether it's face-to-face or digitally, how do I convert, whether it's face-to-face or digitally, and then how do I get to, hey, I've had my appointments, and how do I get to that sale process? So a pretty full program, and everyone has the same issue right now. It's just a matter of, what are we doing to address it? And the issue is meeting new prospects. How do we address it? That's what we specialize in right now. We can help you at each step of the process and help you find ways to meet new people. So if that's something you're considering at all, whether the digital workshop or whether you're thinking that maybe your area might be ready to do some face-to-face, we've got some great programs that have some pretty strong guarantees built into them to make sure that you can be successful, make sure that you've got plenty of prospects to talk to. And we can't stop marketing right now. I think that's some folks maybe over the last couple months have been more aggressive in that regard and are seeing their business not only stabilize but actually growing because I think the landscape for marketing is not what it was towards, for instance, the end of last year. I think there's a lot of people maybe that have drawn in their horns a little bit, and I think that's a mistake. And so those that have stayed in the game have had better results because of that, which is great. Beyond that, as we get to talking about radio here in just a moment, Certainly what we're finding is, and of course this is going to vary a little bit by area, but we're finding that radio stations in general are more open to having a conversation about the rates because their advertising in general is down, so they're looking for opportunities to add new customers, just like you're looking for opportunities to add new customers. So there is opportunity for discounts on rates. So it's a great time to get into radio, and Dave will talk more about that. But also in the socially distanced world that we're living in right now, the response rate and the interest rate that we're seeing for radio has been higher. So when you take that combination of a little bit less expensive and a little bit more interest, it really makes radio a very strong opportunity right now. So that's something that Dave is going to expound upon here shortly as he joins us. But I want to make sure that you all were a little bit of a preview of what's to come there. I don't think we can set aside opportunities, the best opportunities available to us right now. And I really think that as you hear what Dave has to say about radio, you're going to find that to certainly be the case. So here's a little information about the coach. Dave, of course, is been in the public seminar business for years and years, been in the business since the early 80s. He does a great job with the coaching aspect of it, and that is, of course, transferred very well to radio. We've seen some great success on the radio side, and I truly believe that a lot of that is due to that one-on-one coaching. So to throw you into the fire and say, hey, let's go on radio, and then to leave you with not being able to stretch you and show you what's happening on the radio side and get you the best potential for success by having that one-on-one coaching, I think that's a severe mistake, and that's not one that we're going to make. Obviously, you've got to go over one of the main. There are some things that I think are really considered kind of main calls to action, and Social Security still continues to be via the radio, continues to be one of those. And so in order to be effective at that, you need to learn a little bit more about Social Security. For some folks, that's no problem. They've already got that knowledge base. For those of you that don't, we do include that as part of the coaching, obviously. We've got certainly A to Z throughout the whole process so that you're going to be up and ready to go and have a really good feel for the program before you get started. I've seen some folks that have done radio in the past, and whether they were trying to do a live radio show or a recorded radio show, they've struggled with it because they have not had the opportunity to have a really good coaching as to what are the next steps. Here's the process at every step of the way, and that's not going to happen here on our end at all. We've got great coaching and great program, so we're really pleased with that. Hold on just a moment. Looks like Dave might be having a Thank you for your patience. Looks like Dave is in the process of trying to join in right now and just having a technical difficulty, so we're going to try and walk him through that. Good. So we're getting Dave worked through that. Right now, he'll be joining us in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and move on a little bit. So most of the advertising that we do for seminars is done by a gentleman, and he also does the work for us. And his skill set is actually in the radio world. And so when we look at the work that he does, and I touched on a little bit earlier with being able to get the discounts right now because radio is not, they're kind of actively looking for advertisers because some of the regular advertisers are not doing as much right now. And so it really is very helpful for us that we've got somebody who has literally between he and it's a family business, and between he and the family, they've probably got over 50 years working in the media buy. And that's really important to you because we need to make sure that you've got the right station and we're getting you the best price for what you're doing on a daily basis. But beyond that, he also works in with each radio station. He'll work in spots that advertise for you, and then he'll try and get you on board with one of the local radio personalities and maybe do a 10 to 15 minute kind of introduction. And maybe that's something you get maybe once a quarter in addition to your regular radio show and the little 15 and 30-second spots. So having that type of buying power at our disposal has really been a great benefit to our guys. Obviously, you can see before you some of the things that he's done in the past in terms of how many programs that he's working with, the amount of digital media that he's buying, and of course he's located in South Carolina. They're ranked as one of the top companies in South Carolina, so you know that they're a good, solid firm with a lot of history and a lot of success in their past. So let's talk a little bit about what radio can do for you. So Dave will join us in a moment. He'll take up as we go along, but Dave would tell you that what he's found out in his 2 years here locally on the radio is it's made him more recognizable, not just among his clients, but it's made him more referable by his clients. It's made him more recognizable in the community, which is good for business in general. And certainly when you're on the radio, there's a certain level of credibility that goes with that you just can't buy any other way. And of course, what you're talking about, whether it's Social Security or whether you're talking about annuities, whether you're talking about investable assets and things like that, 1031 exchanges, what have you, there's to have people understand the width and breadth of your capabilities is something that it's really hard to communicate on a one-on-one basis or even at a seminar basis, because really you're talking to 20, 30, 40 people at a time. On the radio, you're talking to literally hundreds of thousands of people at a time. So let's talk a little bit about just radio and why radio is so important, unbelievably, and maybe not so much now, but people radio is one of the most listened to, most accessed media out there. So even with all what's happening in the social media areas and what the streaming media on TV and things right now, radio is still number one, which is just amazing to me. And radio does appeal to the demographic that you want to appeal to. So we're really looking to speak with that 50 and older marketplace, and radio is still very relevant for that individual. And beyond that, and Dave would back this up based on what he's seen in terms of the folks that he's talked to, is that actually the folks that he's talked to via radio tend to be a slightly more upscale median household income, a little bit more savvy investor, an investor that's got a little bit more assets that they're working with and is a little bit savvier about those assets. So that's really something that surprised me a bit, and I think surprised Dave as well. Not that I would have expected that to be just kind of you're going to just meet average customers, some good, some bad, but it seems like a little bit you're looking at a little bit more affluent customer in general. And we talked about this.
Hey Steve, how are you doing?
Good, Dave. How are you? I'm on
Good.
hot button number 4.
I'm learning from you.
Oh, I'm sure that's true every day. So we're talking about a little bit about, and I did touch on this, how radio kind of builds credibility and solidifies you as the expert, but you can talk through that. So with us now, folks, and thank you, Dave. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties that you ran into, but
that's my fault, believe me. Yeah.
Well, I know sometimes we're all challenged, but I gave them a little bit of background on you so they know a little bit about your history. Let's talk a little bit about radio and how that has made you put you as an expert in our local area here.
Yeah, you bet. And thanks for Everybody hanging on with me. I was between appointments and I just got slowed down a little bit, but I'm glad everybody is on the line with us today. Radio is an interesting medium. Kind of with the whole pandemic, there's no doubt that there's more listenership to radio, television, podcasts than there really has been in a long, long time. I mean, our radio listenership is up. We're getting more appointments from radio. And there's no doubt that when you're on the radio, you're viewed as an expert. I mean, they say, well, you're at KFAB on the same show that Rush Limbaugh is on. That you are something. Well, of course that's not true. You can just ask my kids. I'm not something, but I am something to the average listener when they listen to the big 50,000 watt station of KFAB. News talk is hot, and I've worked in radio. I had a show called Your Money Matters Live for a 45-minute show for 11 years, and then I did 14 years of a kind of a ending market report that was recorded. The first one was live for 11 years. That was recorded, and then we went to this format about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and it's a process, but it certainly does build your brand. And it certainly does give you a lot of credibility. And Steve, do you want me to go in and do this, or do you want to go with slides here? I guess maybe I'm doing that. I guess. Okay.
I'm going to get you set
sure.
up. Right
I'll let you do. I'll let you do it, Steve, because this is we got about 15 minutes, and we're going to kind of go through this in depth here. So AM radio. Who's on AM radio? Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, Kim Commando, Dave Ramsey. They're on it for a reason. It's because they're making money from their advertisers. And they want the exposure. It gives you celebrity status. I mean, there's a lot of good things about being, and it isn't just AM radio. We are setting up some FM stations now. FM normally doesn't carry out as far, but we just did 50,000 watts, the biggest AM can be. We actually just did a 100,000 watt FM station. So FM starting to make a kind of inroads in the talk radio mantra. So Retirement Boss Radio, take charge of your money. That is trademarked. I trademarked it before my very first show. But here are the four kind of sectors of the process of Retirement Boss Radio. A very important one is we have to find the right radio station, the right radio time slot, and the right pricing. So as you always heard from real estate, that location is so important. It certainly is important also here. But if we find the right station, okay, the listenership, the right time and the right price, that's extremely important. The second thing is that we have a national radio media buyer. He has, get a load of this, over 400 shows a week that he has purchased radio time for. He knows almost every single possible location in the U.S. as far as radio stations are concerned. And he's very, very good at negotiating best prices. So much better than if we went down locally. Then the production company, it's recorded. So they actually supply the co-host, which his name is Steve, and he's been in the radio for over 40 years, great at what he does. All of our people in Retirement Boss Radio use him as the co-host. They also have, they record it, they edit it, they mix it, they put the advertisements in, they do it all. They get it to the radio station on time of where you're doing your hour radio show. So they're the whole back office, okay, very important. Then we've got a call center, so it's, even though it's recorded, it sounds live, and when people call in, the last good appointment I had, which went to another appointment, we'll see what happens, pretty good money, 700-some thousand. He said, I really just called in because I thought it was live, and I didn't know until I got the answering service, but they set the appointment with him, okay? And then we have a call, that call service, which makes, their goal is to set the appointment. We're not mailing out information. We're setting an appointment and either seeing them either by phone, Zoom, or face-to-face. We're in Nebraska, so we're not a shelter-in-place state, so we can still do that. Your state may be different, though they are opening up now. And then lastly, myself. When a person comes on board, I take 2 or 3 times and I help them coach through. We practice on some show notes, which we get from the production company, and I rewrite those show notes to make them sure that they're kind of compliant. So, like, I've got a broker-dealer compliance department, and we get the okay to listen to my show every single week and look at my show notes. So I certainly know how to work with different compliance departments. So that's kind of the 4 things that are important of the process of Retirement Boss Radio. You can go to the next slide, Steve. If you got any questions, just type them on in. I'll be more than happy. And let's go to the next slide. I also go up. I think it's like $50 or $100. I put mine on iTunes, and I put them on my website. But like you can tell here, after every time that someone calls on in and we go and get an appointment, like this person, turning 59 soon, hasn't settled on someone yet. This is the call center writing this in after talking to him. He has a 401k that is 7-figured. Also had questions about Social Security. It was a very, very good call. But that's exciting to see that, and then we always call them back on Monday morning to verify the time and all the information. Okay, next slide. On www.retirementbossradio.com, www.retirementbossradio.com, you can certainly go on our website and you can listen to some of my past shows and get a feeling of the professionalism of it. It's as good. I mean, I'm not pounding my chest, but I'll tell you right now, we got some very, very good vendors, very, very good alliances that are working with us to make this a really professional sounding, which it is, sounding show. Sounds live, but it's not. It is recorded. Next slide. So as we're kind of finishing up, and then Steve will see what other questions that were typed on in. But the cost, it just depends. I mean, I put one up in New York. I mean, a good station, and I think it was around $4,300 all in a month. $4,300 a month. I put one in down. We were bidding one out in the south. I think it was $2,600. So I would say between $2,500 and maybe $5,500 a month. It just depends on the size of the station and how many people that it contacts and how good that station is. We certainly have, this is a fairly new program, so we do have quite a few locations that are available. Training and coaching comes from myself, Dave Pimper, 30 years in radio. The only thing really you got to buy up front, I call it, it's your studio at home. And basically, it's earphones. We supply the software that you're able to converse with the co-host of kind of, and he's really the color. You're the main person. He's making you look good, but the earphones and the mic, it might run $175, something like that. We just order it from Amazon, and you can. The nice thing is you can record anywhere, your office, your bedroom. You can record in your car, in your hotel room, if they're open. Yeah, it's very, very easy for you to record at your time and your schedule. Kind of how all the components work together. Once we're coaching, I really kind of go more into that. But even though there's 4 separate parts, we make them look pretty seamless when we put them together. And the end result, the end result is to have success. End result is to have a lot of qualified appointments and get a lot of good business. We can go to the next slide, Steve. Al Jolson was an actor, and he says, his quote is, "I'd like to do radio just like pitchers leave the imperfect stuff on the cutting room floor." Well, you know what? The interesting thing is, recorded radio, which sounds live, you can go in and take out all the mistakes that there is. It happens almost every single time we record. I'll say, "Hey, let's cut this over again." And then we do that sentence or that paragraph. So radio is a great medium. You know what? For $3,000, $3,500, say on the average, you can go in and you can become really a radio celebrity. This is a little saying, says, "Procrastination is my sin. It brings me constant sorrow. I really shouldn't practice it. Perhaps I'll stop." I'll tell you right now, tomorrow never comes. Procrastination, people who take action are the people who are truly the most successful in life. If you heard something today that you think, you know what, maybe I should talk to Dave Pimper. Maybe I should just, kind of give him an idea what we're doing for marketing. Maybe radio could play an important part of your lead generation system, especially because it is harder, even though we're still doing virtual seminars and we're trying to get that really molded so we can roll it out. But radio has been very, very successful for me in those last couple 2-3 months, more so than even before. It was successful before. Very, very good lead generation system. Steve, if you could put up the poll, and this poll, if you mark yes, and please mark yes or no, because we don't want to call the people who don't want to be called. But if you want more information on Retirement Boss Radio being your local host of your local radio station, mark yes. And then Nicole or Lisa will call you, and we'll go on in and get together for 20, 25, 30 minutes and really start understanding, if this could be an opportunity for you. It's not for everybody. I mean, you certainly have to have a bit of a radio voice. I mean, it can't be just bland. I mean, you have to have a little bit of enthusiasm in what you do and the knowledge, which most people do have that. But please mark yes or no, and if you mark yes, then Lisa or Nicole will call you within the next, probably by the end of the day, to get you on my calendar. So, Steve, I'm going to turn that over to you and see if we have any questions that did arise.
We do, Dave, and they're mostly about cost and some question. There's a couple questions I think focus around kind of the recording and how does that work exactly. You mentioned the studio. Let's start with that question. So,
okay,
it's a recorded show, right?
Yes. Yeah. Recorded show. I call it studio in a box, meaning you buy a professional mic, you buy professional headphones. We supply the expensive professional software between yourself and the co-host. Steve, this wasn't available 10 years ago, but it is now, and because of just technology, and it sounds just like you're there. And what happens is that those show notes that you get, let's say we're talking about the coronavirus and how it's affected retirement plans, or the new CARES Act, or maybe Social Security. The show notes are I have them listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D. I mean, they're all in order, and I redo the show notes to put in, which I want to make sure they're very, very good topics and that they're easy to understand, because you're not reading, you're going in and doing that off the cuff. So it takes, again, the right kind of person, but if you've got that kind of quick-witted personality and have some enthusiasm in your voice, radio might be the perfect medium for you to be in.
And so they can basically record. I mean, I know you do your recordings, every Monday morning?
I do, yes.
And you're recording half hours at a time?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an hour show, but we save $1,000 a month on production costs because we record for an hour, and then we pick up a show from 4 times 4 for the second part. So the first part's always a brand new show. The second part is a pickup. It's a recording. And what I didn't know is most people don't listen to the full hour. They listen to 5 minutes or 10 minutes of it. That's why we say our phone number all the way through. Interesting, our phone, all of the Retirement Boss Radio phone numbers end in 265. Like my number is 888-975-2677. That 2677 is BOSS, BOSS for Retirement Boss Radio. So we say call 888-975-2677. That's 888-975-BOSS. So it's kind of fun, easy to remember. Everyone gets, as long as they're still available, everybody will get that ending 4 numerals that spell out the word BOSS, BOSS.
And they're not handling calls during the course of the show, because what happens when people call that?
Yeah, they call that number and it goes right into the professional call center that we have. That was hard to find too. I mean, that call center was not easy. It's a much more upscale call. I wanted them to, they go on hold. Retirement Boss Radio will be right with you, and if they do have to go on hold, and then the person comes on and just says, "I'm glad you want to meet with Dave. Let's set up a good time for the appointment." And now we say, "Do you want it by phone, by Zoom, or face to face?" And then if they do phone or Zoom, when my administrator calls them on Monday morning to verify it, then she says, "Are you sure you don't want to meet face to face?" Lots of times people want to. I mean, we try to push that, but again, if you're in states like New Jersey or New York or even Southern California, no, you're going to be doing everything by Zoom, so forth. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. So they're recording it in conjunction with Steve, or and they're in the course of having to record it. All of a sudden, they say something that it doesn't sound good. What happens then?
Can you say that question again, Steve?
So when somebody, in the course of that recording, that something comes up and they want to re-record it, how is that a big deal?
No, not at all. I mean, you know what? There's times I've not done it, but I've had people that are in the program that they just weren't happy with the whole recording, and so they just did the whole recording over again. They set up another time and did the whole thing. What happens to myself? There's normally little things, like it might be a one little thing. Maybe it's on Social Security. Like I'll tell you a great one. I said that Social Security on the earnings test, okay? And what happens is that you can go in and from a quarterly credit standpoint, and I said it's $1,460. I mean, no one's going to catch that, but I knew it was $1,410, $5,640 a year for the 4 quarters, and I just said, let's just cut that over again. And we did, and I put in the right numbers, and off we went. So, but you know, sometimes I'll just start rolling into something, and it just doesn't come out quite right. I say, let's do that whole segment over. Let's start from number 2. Let's start right there, Steve. You take it, and I'll go from there. So it's very easy to correct your mistakes. Very, very easy that you can't do live.
And the studio in a box costs about
$175.
$175. So
and you own that.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I'm using, you know what? If you go on and Google up Zoom and see what's the best microphone to use, that's the mic we're using. It's a professional radio mic, and it just sounds great. So I use that for all my Zoom meetings too.
Perfect. We use it.
Yeah.
So from a cost standpoint, and this is really the last question that we have, and it's a number of people have it. So give us an idea of generally what people can expect in terms of cost total.
If you're in a small market, it could be as little as $2,500. If you're in a big market, it could be $5,000 to $6,000. But I mean, the average cost that we have, all in everything, is probably $3,000 to $3,500 on an average. Now we know we have to see the market, how much the costs are, et cetera. But I'd say $3,000 to $3,500 a month. And so, you know, it's really no more expensive than a seminar. Even a library seminar is going to cost you $3,000 to $3,500. So no, it's a pretty. People think it's extremely expensive. Not at all. I mean, it can be very, very competitive. Plus, tons of people give seminars, but very few are on the radio. Go look at the people that are in the financial service arena in your local area with radio. I bet they're all successful. Every one of them have done very, very well. And that should be you. Absolutely. We'd love to talk to you.
Yep. Well, we had just one person hasn't voted. I think they're just struggling with the voting, David. So what I would say about that is that if you want to have a conversation with Dave, just give us a call here at the office, 800-255-5055. We will get that set up. Again, that's 800-255-5055. We'll get that set up for you. Those of you that have interest, great. We'll give you a call. I appreciate those of you that answer the polls quickly. That really helps us quite a bit. If there are any other questions that arise, certainly everyone here at IAMS, whether it's about Retirement Boss Radio, Social Security seminars, digital workshops, or anything else we talked about at the outset, give us a call here at the office. You have the number 800-255-5055. I think the simplest thing for you to do right now, if you're wondering how that radio show sounds, is go to retirementbossradio.com and listen to one of the podcasts. It's what are they, about 26 minutes long each, Dave?
Yeah, that's about 24 minutes. That's exactly right. Yep.
And that's exactly what you're going to sound like. It's done, it's mixed and put together, produced very professionally for you. You're going to sound good on the radio. You're going to cut a good figure for yourself and establish some great credibility. So it's really a valuable thing to do, is to listen to how that sounds. Keep in mind that when, as Dave mentioned, you're cutting half-hour shows, and then we kind of stagger them out. So how many shows do you have in the can so far, Dave, total? Do you know?
Oh, I think that I have about 90 shows.
90 shows. So you could
90
stop
shows, which is 90 weeks.
Yeah. You could stop recording today.
Oh, I wouldn't have to record. I mean, I could use old shows, but I like to stay current, especially with the coronavirus, markets, economy. I mean, protesting, looting. Yeah. I mean, just all the goods and bads that are going on right now. I like to do that. But would I have to? No, I wouldn't.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you fighting through the technical difficulties
Oh,
and
sure.
everybody
No
hanging out with
problem.
us here today. So it's good stuff as always. We'd love to help you here at IAMS, and you know that Dave is good at what he does, and probably maybe the best in the industry right now, and helping people through whether you're doing seminars or doing radio, kind of helping the producer because he is actively producing and doing what he's doing. So he's great to have on your team. We're pleased to have him part of our team here at IAMS. He's coaches exclusively with us, so it's a great fit for our producers. And we appreciate you taking some time here, Dave, to join us. Thank you all out there for taking some time to join us as well. As usual, we appreciate your business and look forward to helping you along the way. If you have any other questions, give us a call here at the office, 800-255-5055. With that, we'll close up. Dave, anything you want to say before we go? I would say no. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.